and I would like to talk about where transsexuals will be in the next 10 years. Hello, my name is Mackie, the co-founder of My Transgender Date, the #1 dating site for trans women. Before I dive into today's topic, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. We release a new video every week, so you make sure that you stay tuned. For today's video, I am super duper excited because I am going to react to the video that we recorded 9 years ago. We published this 9 years ago on our previous YouTube channel, My Lady Boy Date, and I'm super excited to react to what I said here and reflect. Is it becoming a reality of what I said before, where transsexuals will be in 10 years? So let's watch the video. Happy New Year, guys! Okay, wait. That jingle just brings so much memory. And this is our first video of the year, and I would like to talk about where transsexuals will be in the next 10 years. So when I look, take note that I am still using the term transsexual here. There is a video about why we also have changed our term from My Lady Boy Date to My Transsexual Date, now to My Transgender Date. At the way society sees transsexual women, I kind of think we are going to follow the same exact path that gays have been through. Let me explain. Gays and lesbians and bisexuals have gone a long way towards acceptance. Nowadays, not only we have laws in favor of gays, like anti-discrimination or same-sex marriage, but it's also socially very okay to be gay. It is seen as perfectly normal, as being part of the diversity of our society. Even better than this, people like to get surrounded by gay people. We present gays on TV. Even corporations proudly show that they have LGBT communities. Being gay or being surrounded by gays has become a synonym of being open-minded, progressive, and modern. But it has not always been the case. Remember, a couple of years ago, mentalities were pretty different. It was even illegal to be gay. Alan Turing, if it rings a bell, a father of modern computing and who helped decipher German teletransmission during World War II, was a gay and sentenced by the Justice of England to forced chemical castration. Her Majesty presented her public apologies December last year. There were times when gays were said to be sinners and mentally sick people. Even nowadays, conservative idiots, excuse me for my French, still believe in that. But overall, the society is now accepting and even praising homosexuals. But it's unfortunately not the case for transgender. I kind of like the idea that I use this type of analogy because it was pretty much making sense at that time. And I think it does still now, you know. When I recorded this 9 years ago, I was so active in my activism. I remember in my college days, I run for a student council and fight for rights of the LGBTIQ community. I already have the support of the gay community. You can already see more visibility amongst gay men. And so comparing the history of the gay people to the lives of trans women makes it a lot easier for us to understand of where we are right now. Because at that time, when I was recording this, you could really see a lot of happy gay men everywhere. There are progressive laws that are protecting gay rights, but trans rights or issues and concerns about trans people were not that common at that time. In fact, there were still a lot of people who questioned about trans women, questioned our existence. I myself have my fair share of that experience of being questioned, being interrogated. At that time, there were still few of representations of trans women in the media. There were few narratives that share the stories of trans women and trans men and transgender people in general. I can say that people were not aware of trans women at that time. Not everybody. It wasn't in the mainstream yet. Just like gays before, transgender people are still mostly seen as freaks, sinners, or mentally sick people. And the men who love, I think this is very true for everybody. And I am not the only person, and I am not the only trans woman who have experienced this before. And I believe that there are still a lot of trans sisters and trans brothers who are oppressed and experience discrimination nowadays. But at that time, I could only share to you, so you will be able to imagine the struggles that we have been through in order to be the woman that I am right now. For example, I used to wear male uniform back in college. There were issues where if you have to work in a certain company, you have to wear the male uniform, you have to use the male restroom. Although we are still facing these types of issues, but not as much as we used to experience before. Transgender women are equally seen as freaks or fetishists. And at that time, being alone in public was pretty much scary because you're afraid of being clocked, you're afraid of being shouted, you're afraid of being discriminated. At that time, it was just completely a different era where you tend to hide your identity. Although there are still places in the world where trans people hide their identities, there are still a lot of places in this world, countries criminalize LGBTIQ people. There is progress from the time that I recorded this video 9 years ago. There's more representation, there's more celebration of trans women wherever you are. In fact, there are already transgender women that are accepted to join Miss Universe, for example. If you tell people that you're gay, the reaction is just fine. Okay, you're gay, fine with me, let's grab a beer. But if you tell people that you like transsexual women, they start to look at you weird and funny. The media I think this is still true up until now, unfortunately. A lot of trans-oriented men or men who are attracted to trans women are still afraid of being open about their attraction toward trans women because of prejudice. There's a lot of risk for a man to divulge their attraction to trans women because there are societies that are very conservative. There are circumstances, for example, their work might be compromised if their company learned that they are in a relationship with a transgender woman. Unfortunately, up until now, there are still a lot of misconceptions and judgments towards people who are attracted to trans women, and I just do hope that it would change in time. And this is the reason why creating this dating site is to normalize and start having a conversation of love, dating, and a relationship with a transgender person. It normalizes when we start talking about these stories, when we share these narratives on social media, on mainstream media. Actually, responsible for that, this is very rare to see transgender people well represented on TV or on the internet. TV shows will like to make it sensational. They will show you the prostitutes, the cabaret dancers, the documentary. Isn't this true? I mean, I am just speechless and overwhelmed with the trans representation that we see in media right now. I am just so happy in just time for Pride Month that I am having a reaction video to this video because it is so true. I mean, at that time, there were very few, close to none, representation of trans women and trans people in media. We were sort of a mockery at that time. We were sort of a joke. Every time we see a trans woman being presented in television or in news, even in YouTube before, most of videos related to trans women were most likely about escorts, prostitutions, ladyboys in Thailand. They are being fetishized, they are being sensationalized with their bodies, with the things that they have done. And one of the things that I couldn't really forget is when they tried to present a trans woman as a man and and then change into a woman. I mean, we have been a woman ever since. We just need to process the things that we need to process in order to align our gender identity with our gender expression and the way we want to live our lives. I'm just super happy that I am doing this reaction video, and I'm just so happy that I'm doing this during Pride Month. Surgery and testimonials of psychologists. On the internet, this is mostly about pornography, and it's a very popular type of pornography. If you don't know yet, I can tell you. Even cinema movies and TV series, well, popular, I mean, hello! So that just means there's a lot of people who watch transgender in the porn section. So that means there's just a lot of people who are attracted to trans women. Let's just admit that. The whole point here is there was a lot of information coming from the porn industry about trans women, and that we are limited into that industry. I am not saying that that is a bad, and I don't have anything against my trans sisters and brothers who are in the adult industry. I have so much respect to them, but it seems like we are hidden from the society and we are limited only to sexual objects. Most of the time show you transsexuals who are either prostitutes, dancers, or even serial killers. And that's unfair because that's not representing the trans community in all its diversity, and may I say, in all its beauty. Negative representation back then was very, very popular, and this is so true. I tried watching a couple of videos, and I do have videos here in our YouTube channel about movies about trans women, and along these research we found out that there are a lot of negative representations of trans women back then. It seems to be that we are always seen as the villain in the story, that we deceive people. And you know, this type of presentation gives so much stain into the reputation among trans women, which leads to hate crimes, which leads to transphobic actions, violent actions towards trans communities. The sad part is that there are still a lot of transphobic actions, hate crimes going on in the world, but I can say that there is progress, and there's so much things that we need to continuously do in order to achieve what we are fighting for. Well, just like gays managed to raise themselves to a level of acceptance that's perfectly fine, and even better than fine, I believe the trans community will also rise to it. It's just a matter of time. People think that we are accepted. I always think that we are still tolerated up until now. And I also have an interview. This was 9 or 8 years ago where I said we're not accepted but only tolerated. And I kind of have this sad realization that there are places in the world where community accepts you for being a trans person. It's not so much of a big deal now because people are aware about stories of trans women, trans men, non-binary, transgender community in general. The activism has grown bigger and bigger. So it's not really much of a big deal now being a trans, but sadly there are still places where you are not fully accepted, and that's the reason why I'm saying that trans women are still tolerated up until now. There are progressive countries where they acknowledge trans women as women. They do have gender recognition there, and this is a proof, a manifestation that there is progress, but we cannot deny the fact that there are countries like Philippines, Thailand, which is very popular countries tolerating trans women, yet there is a lack of law recognizing trans women as women and protecting them as women. I see already good signs of it. I live in the Philippines, which is a very conservative country, and this country is so well accepting LGBTs, and that includes trans community. They are all well represented in almost every layer of the society. I remember I was recording this a year after I joined a national pageant that was televised nationwide. It was a breakthrough for me and for my community, the trans Pinay community, because I had the opportunity to use the term transgender on a national television. You know, throwing that word, and people were like, what's a transgender? And it was a tipping point of everybody being curious. and also intrigued about our existence. And there was just a ripple effect. I was grateful of that opportunity, and I am just so happy that that came into my mouth, because as an activist myself, my main purpose was really to educate, and that was just like the greatest thing I've ever done, to put that word in national TV and people were like, oh, what's a transgender? And well respected. This is what I often like to show as an example, and I hope this will shine, spread, and reach the other parts of the world. I see also a lot more men. When I mentioned about trans women are everywhere in the Philippines, you could only imagine how celebrated we are. The difference of acceptance and celebration based on the industry that is so close to my heart, the trans pageantry. We used to be a mere entertainment back then. It was just really the purpose of being laughed at, being a joke, and now it's really getting serious, and younger trans women who join beauty pageants have a stronger advocacy in order for them to not just prove, but to find their purpose, and using pageantry as a platform to push through their individual advocacies. And this is really powerful for me. I find trans pageantry as a tool to educate and to reach out to a wider audience, and I see that there is a difference between how we do trans pageantry back then and how we are presenting trans women and using trans pageantry as a way of advocating our individual message to the world. Boyfriend who openly admit their attraction and stand for it and stand for their trans girlfriend. Actually, it's the case of most of the men who sign up on our dating site. Let me go back. Who openly admit their attraction and stand for it and stand for their trans girlfriend. Actually, it's the case of most of the men who sign up on our dating site. All of this is giving me good hope that this is only... Now, this is very true, because there are more stories of couples who have been open about their relationship. And it's a sign of development where we talk about a common situation that every human race feels and wanted to feel and wanted to experience. And that is to love and be loved. As a co-founder of my transgender date, I always wanted to create a difference. I wanted to create a positive impact for the trans community by showing that relationship with a trans woman is as normal as any other relationship. And watching stories of men who are attracted to trans women and being open about it gives so much hope to me and to my trans sisters to believe that there is someone out there for them who's going to accept them and love them for who they are. And it's just amazing, because I think it's a ripple effect. Once you have this healthy and positive relationship, it follows. People learn to understand that you are as normal as everybody else. You love, you get hurt, you date, you find someone to share your life with. And it's also very positive because it inspires other men and people who are attracted to trans women to be okay and to have this peace of mind that their attraction to trans women is very normal. That's what it's all about. Like, I wanted to normalize dating transgender women, having a relationship with a transgender woman, being attracted to transgender women. Actually, it's the case of most of the men who sign up on our dating site. All of this is giving me good hope that this is only the beginning of it. Of this vision to that someday being trans will be as much accepted as any other condition. That men who date trans women will not be looked down like freak anymore, but will even be envied by the other men because they have the courage to stand for what they know, what makes them happy. That is where I believe transsexual women and transgender people as a whole are going to get in 10 years. Hopefully even less. Well, this is my point of view. I would definitely love to hear yours. That's And these are all being realized. You can see a lot of trans representations in the media. You can see a lot of visibility nowadays. You could see progressive laws from various countries that are protecting transgender people. You can find movies where they are including trans women and having a trans character in their narratives. You can even find superheroes who are trans women, and much more. You can hear stories of a man falling in love with a trans woman. You can find celebrities who are dating transgender women. You have celebrities who are trans women who are open about their gender identity. You have Laverne Cox, who have been featured in the Time magazine, models who are paving the way. You have beauty queens. It's always been a dream to witness a transgender woman representing their country in the Miss Universe, and that was realized by Spain in 2018. We are in this realization. We cannot stop here. There is just so many things that needed to be done in order for us to continue what we are fighting for, and I do hope that in a couple of years there will just be more. I am just super excited and overwhelmed of what I said on this video that has slowly being realized. Realizing that my vision 9 years ago has finally come to life. Being an advocate makes me super proud. Being a co-founder of the dating site for transgender women and a pioneer of creating a clean space for trans women that we all deserve in order for us to find love online, a quality and safe dating site. The conversation that I wanted to start where we have to normalize transgender dating, love, and relationship. I can see it. I can notice it. I can feel that we have come a long way. There are parts where trans women are accepted. There are parts of the world where trans women are only tolerated. But it is our duty to continue what we are fighting for, and that is to be visible, share our story, and be true to ourselves, and never ever be afraid of being who you are. Happy Pride! I do hope that you do like this reaction video, and if you do want more reaction video from our previous YouTube channel, My Lady Boy Date, please comment in the section below. Kindly put your comments about my reaction to this video. I'll put the link of this YouTube video in my description so you will be able to watch the full video of it. I would love to hear your reaction to this video. I would be so happy to engage with you all. I hope you like this video, and I wish to see you on my next video.